Think back to preschool when you and your friend both wanted to play with building blocks. Both of you wanted to play with them, but neither of you want to give them up. How do you solve this problem? The answer is to share. And this is the basic idea behind covalent bonding.
Covalent bonding occurs when pairs of electrons are shared by atoms. This most often occurs between nonmetals, such as carbon and oxygen. They share electrons to gain more stability, and they share their electrons in order to fill up their electron shell. So as you can see, here, the oxygen and carbon atoms are sharing valence electrons in order to fill up their total valence electron shell. This is because they want, like every element, every non-metal element, they generally want to have 8 valence electrons so they can become more stable like the noble gases. As illustrated, the carbon atom shares 2 bonds between the carbon and oxygen, so that there are a total of 4 electrons being shared, 2 in each bond. This is shown in greater detail with the Lewis dot structures, which we will not do.
And ionic bonding often get confused. This is because some students find it difficult to remember the major difference between the 2 types of bonding. The simple explanation for this is that when ionic bonding occurs, one atom steals another atom's electrons in order to become more stable, and atoms covalently bonded share their electrons. While this explanation is correct in some ways, it's not entirely truthful. Both forms of bonds actually share the electrons. However, the major difference is that in ionic bonding, the electrons are unequally shared, so that one element gets more of the charge from that electron than the other. In covalent bonding, the electrons are more equally shared between the 2 elements.
Some of the properties of covalent bonding include covalent compounds have relatively low melting points and boiling points. These compounds are non-conductors of electrical charge. The absence of charged ions is the main reason behind this. They are also bad conductors of heat. Their molecules lack free electrons, and that obstructs the flow of heat energy. Covalent compounds tend to be more flammable than ionic compounds. At normal temperature and pressure, we will find these compounds as either liquids or gases. And finally, when solid, they are very soft. In order to wrap things up, let's summarize what we have gone over today. Covalent bonds are bonds that form between 2 atoms that equally share 1 or more electrons between them. This is most often in the form of nonmetals, which can be found on the right side of the periodic table. They have their own sets of properties. While there are some similarities with ionic bonding, they are very different. The end.